Alright. So, we ended off without translating what Kakuju said, so let's see what she says. After she was like, sorry, I can't help you, and Kururugi's like, oh, well, okay then. And everyone's about to leave. Let's open this up. And let's see. And of course, Kakuju's just going to ask us to wait. In the English version, Kakuju says, wait a minute. According to the translation, they simply say wait. And of course, Kakuju's got everyone's attention.
お前さんをこの世界に導いたものが何なのかわしにはわからん。
Okay. Let's see. Then Kakuju says, according to the translation, I don't know what brought you to this world, which, compared to the English version, pretty much the same thing. English version is, I don't know what brought you into this world. So, it's like, more or less the same.
じゃがお前さんの中に眠る式神の使い方を教えてやることならできるが。
There we've got mention of Shikigami. In the English version, Kakuju says, but I can teach you how to use the Shikigami power that lies within you. The translation of this is, however, I can teach you how to use the Shikigami that lies dormant within you. I do kind of like how the wording from the translation is compared to what the English one went with. Like, it's pretty much the same, but I don't know. I just kind of like the sound of, however, I can teach you how to use the Shikigami that lies dormant within you.
覚えていくか。
And then, in the English version, Kakuju asks, would you like to learn? While the translation... the translation on both ends from DeepL and Google Translate didn't exactly come out all that well. DeepL, for some reason, translated this as, what do you want to hear? Which doesn't exactly sound right. And according to Google Translate says, will you remember it? One moment, I need to double check. The previous line translation was, I can teach you. Yeah, and then I guess I would rather go with the English one of, would you like to learn? Over whatever the two translations I just got for this bit of dialogue was.
そいつはすげえ。おい、教えてもらえよ。
And then InuYasha says... the translation again isn't all that good. According to the translation, InuYasha says, "That's amazing. Come on, tell me." The first sentence is fine. The English version went with pretty much the same thing. In the English version, InuYasha responds with, "That's great." But then the second sentence in the English version is, "You should learn how to use it." So I think... I think Google Translate was trying to go for "come on, tell us," but since this should be InuYasha directing to Kururugi, I do think the English version of what they went with in the English version is a bit better. Like, InuYasha's pushing Kururugi to learn how to use this power. Because just trying to get in InuYasha's head, he'd be like, cool, if this kid learns this power, maybe they won't be so useless. It honestly would fit in line with InuYasha's character.
そうだね。
And then in the English version, Kururugi responds with, "Yes, okay," but the translation... the translation is, "I agree," which I probably would go with the... I would probably go with, "Yeah, I agree," instead of "yes, okay." Even though they pretty much mean the same thing, it would, again, deviate from the English version's constant use of yes as a form of confirmation. Again, I don't know why the English version kept doing that.
お願いします、角樹ばあちゃん。
And then the translation here... according to Google Translate, it's "thank you." Kururugi says, "Thank you, Grandma Kakachu." Though, of course, if you're playing as Kaname, it would be Grandpa Kakachu, because Kakachu's gender, it will be the opposite of whoever you're playing as. And in the English version, Kururugi responds with, "Please teach me, Grandma Kakachu," which I do think I would go with the English version here, just because it makes Kururugi sound a bit more humble. Like, yes, Kakachu offered to teach Kururugi, but like having Kururugi say, "Yes, please teach me," like, not only does it make Kururugi sound a bit more humble, but like, actually does make them sound like they're more eager to learn.
それではわしの前に来て手を握り目をつぶってじっとしておるがいい。
Alright, and Kakachu instructs us with, "Now, come in front of me take my hand, close your eyes, and stay still. In the English version, is pretty much the same. Kakuju says, okay, then stand in front of me, hold my hand, close your eyes, and be very still. Pretty much the same thing, so could really go with either or. And there we've got Shippo mentioning a light. And now we get something a little interesting. So in the English version, after Kururugi's body is surrounded by the red light, says, "Wow, your body lit up. Is that what you call Shikigami?" Whereas the translation says, "Wow, your body is glowing. Is that a Shikigami?" Which... I mean, it... It is a little unfortunate. I would say that, because of how the animation of the red light around Kururugi works, that Shippo couldn't speak during it. Because if that were possible, then I could see going with the English translation of, "Wow, your body is glowing." While the English version, realizing that the dialogue comes after that, has Shippo say, "Your body lit up." So, after the fact. Really, you could go with a mix of it. Probably something like, "Wow, your whole body was glowing. Is that a Shikigami?" I think that's probably what I'd go with.
いやいや、眠っている式神を起こしただけじゃ。実際に式神を使うのはこれからじゃ。
Alright. And now further instruction. Or description, anyway. According to the translation, Kakuju replies with, No, just waking up the sleeping Shikigami is not enough. You'll still need to use it." Whereas the English version, Kakuju says, No, we just awakened the Shikigami. Now you will learn to use the Shikigami. Like, wording-wise, I do think I'd go with the translation. While the first part... while the whole thing does still sound pretty much the same between English and the translation, I especially think the last sentence between them, the translated one, is a bit better, because the English version is just repeating Shikigami twice when it doesn't need to. So, like, if I were to reword it, I would probably go with no, no. We've only awoken the sleeping Shikigami. Now, now you need to learn how to use it. Or something like that.
わしのそばにある石を見るがよい。この石は邪門岩といってな、式神の力に反応する石なのじゃ。
Alright. So the translation here says, look at the stone beside me. This stone is called Serpentine, and it reacts to the power of Shikigami. Whereas the English version... in the English version, Kakuju says, look at this rock next to me. This rock is made from serpentine. Or serpentine, Yeah, in the English version, they pronounce it as serpentine. I don't know if it's supposed to be serpentine or serpentine, but and then closes off with, it reacts to the power of Shikigami. I don't know if I'd, like, my issue here is Kakuju saying that the rock is made from serpentine instead of that the rock is serpentine. Like, as like, what type of stone it is. So I do think I would go with the English version. Or, sorry, not the English version, the translated version here of, look at the stone beside me. This stone is called serpentine, and it reacts to the power of Shikigami.
お前さんがちゃんと式神を使えれば、この石は反応して割れるはず。
Okay. That's an interesting translation. One sec. Okay, in the English version, Kakuju says, if you can properly use Shikigami, the rock will react and break. The translation says pretty much the same thing, just replace rock with stone, and the translation is the same as the English version. The Deep L translator says, if you can use the God of War properly, this stone should be able to break under stress. I don't know why this translator suddenly decided to translate Shikigami as God of War. That one just comes off as weird to me.
さあ、やってみるのじゃ。
Let's see. One moment. Oh, right, I didn't screenshot that yet. In the English version, Kakuju then says, go ahead and try it. Whereas, both my translators pretty much say, come on, give it a try. Though the Deep L translator says, come on, let's give it a try. So, either the English version or the translation from Google Translate I'd go with and not really have an issue. I do think I like, come on, give it a try. A little bit more, probably. Hey, dude. Hey, Maria. And yeah, I figured there wouldn't really be a problem with the display. I just kind of messed with the settings a bit.
わかった。
And then... So the English version, Kururugi simply says, okay. Google Translate actually came out with one that I don't think I'd go with, which is, yeah, I understand. Because, again, Kakuju is telling Kururugi to try and destroy the rock. So I think I'd actually go with what Deep L came out with, which is, yeah, okay. Which, sure, you could say the English version pretty much went with, but I do like Kururugi responding with, yeah, okay, instead of simply, okay. But that's just me. Apologies for being late. Oh, well, that definitely sounds a bit more important than being here, so definitely, like, if you still need to finish that, go and finish that. I'll still be here for a few hours. Of course. Oh, right. I actually have control here. Walk up to the rock. Interact with it. And the thing just explodes, like completely disintegrates.
できたよ。
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sold on how Kururugi sounded here with this. That sounded really restrained, I want to say. According to the translation, Kururugi says, it's done. But in the English version, Kururugi is very audibly much more excited and says, I did it. So, this is actually a moment where I am going to say that the English version made an improvement. Kururugi is cheering for themselves that they succeeded in the task Kakuju gave them, and they actually sound excited. Here, Kururugi doesn't all that much.
こんな大きな石が真っ二つ、すごいじゃない。
Oh. Now here's something that the English version actually failed on. Because in the English version, Kagome's reaction is simply, that's great. But there's clearly more text on screen for the Japanese version. So what Kagome actually says is, it's amazing how a huge rock like this, oh, hold on. No, no, that's worded really weird. The translation has her say, that's amazing how a huge rock like this splits it in two. So by the dialogue, they're implying that the rock is simply split. They just didn't have the asset to show a rock split in half. So they just had it disappear, act like it was completely disintegrated. So I think if I were to reword this... Hello, hey Aldenix. We just blew up a rock. If I were to reword this translation, based on the fact that looking at the Japanese text, there's a sentence that ends in a period and then a sentence in an exclamation mark. I think it would be a little better if the translation and what Kagome said in the English version was, you completely destroyed a rock that big. That's amazing. Because, hey, it was about, at least from the asset that was on screen, that rock was about as big as Kururugi's body. And Kururugi just barely did anything and it exploded. Like, I definitely think Kagome would be impressed by that, because Kururugi only just awakened to their power and only starting to use it. Now, of course, if we did go with the with Google Translate's like splitting the rock in two to suggest that the rock is now in two halves, InuYasha's response actually does sound a bit more appropriate, because in the English version, like, the rock was destroyed, Kagome is like, that's great. And then InuYasha responds with, whatever, I can do that. But if we go with the rock was split in two, InuYasha's translated text, and even the text from the translated text of, what? Even I can do that. And then even his, what's in the actual English version would make a bit more sense, because all he'd have to do is swing the Tessaiga, and the rock is split in two. So he's like, InuYasha being arrogant right here, doing, you split a rock in two? Whatever, I can do the same thing. But with Kagome, like, explaining, like, what they saw, because limitations of the game, and the asset's not there anymore, like, it certainly comes off as a bit more impressive, I think. And then hear from Shippo. Okay, there's a couple translations here. Google Translate has Shippo say, what's the point of competing? The Deep L translation, which I do like a bit better, is, what's the point of being competitive? But I actually do like the English version here better, which is Shippo saying no need to get competitive. Like, because InuYasha's trying to start a dick measuring contest when it's completely unnecessary. Though, of course, this is InuYasha, he totally would.
そうよ。こんなところで刀を振り回さないでね。
And of course, Kagome chiding him a bit. As she should. from Google Translate, her translated line is, yes, don't brandish your sword in a place like this. But I do think I much prefer what she says in the English version, which is, that's right, this isn't the place to be waving your sword around. That does sound a little bit better to me.
うるせえな。
Well, that didn't go through at all. Uh-oh. Oh, jeez. No, it's because the damn thing flipped. Come on. Yeah, I don't know why. Damn translator was... Oh, okay! I mean, that translation is fair for InuYasha. Let's see what the other translation for this is. Okay. So, in the English version, InuYasha responds with simply, shut up. Google Translate, for whatever reason, came out with, that's annoying. The Deep Elf translator, I feel, given his character more accurately, translates this line as, shut the fuck up. Which is definitely more fitting for InuYasha. But, of course, if you're gonna market this for an, adapt this for an English audience, changing it to simply shut up is fine.
どうじゃ。式紙の使い方は覚えたかな？
And then here, according to the Deep L translator, Kakuju says, what do you think? Have you learned how to use the Shikigami? While the Google Translate has it as, so, have you learned how to use the Shikigami? And the English version went with, so, do you think you've learned how to use the Shikigami power? Considering how close they are, the English version and the result from the Google Translate results are fine. I do think I would go with the English version, but just remove power from the sentence. So it would be, so, do you think you've learned how to use the Shikigami? Because Shikigami itself is not a power, it is a result of a power type. Which I mentioned last stream is Onmyodo. At least I think I mentioned it last stream. Onmyodo means the way of yin and yang, and is a power used exclusively by Onmyoji, which are the masters of yin and yang. And, yes, the art of Onmyoji / Onmyodo originated from Taoism, which, from what I remember, Taoism sees yin and yang as the two origin forces of creation in the universe. So basically, Onmyoji using Onmyodo is utilizing the power of the creation of the universe to kind of do whatever. Let's see.
うん、大体は。
And here, In the English version, Kururugi responds with yes, pretty much. Which, again, the constant use of yes for any form of confirmation is really bugging me. The Google Translate result is yeah, more or less. Which I do think I would go with over what the English version did. Contextually, it is pretty much the same, but I do like how yeah, more or less as a response sounds over yes, pretty much. Especially since Kururugi was only taught how to pretty much channel their power, not actually utilize it. So past that, it's gonna be up to them.
そうか。あとは実際に使ってみるのみじゃ。
Then here, according to Google Translate, Kakuju says, I see. Now all that's left is to actually try it out. Whereas in the English version, Kakuju said, now the test will be in putting it to actual use. Which I do think I'd go with the English version instead. Like, actually, to try using it.
わかった。ありがとう、おばあちゃん。
And then here, the Deep L translator translates this as, I get it. Thank you, Grandma. Google Translate says, okay, thank you, Grandma. And the English version did the exact same thing as the Google Translate results. So, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you, Grandma is perfectly fine. All right, let's see. And then here from Kagome, in the English version says, now let's go find a villager who might know something. But according to both translators, she says, well then, let's find someone who might know something. Which, again, more or less the same thing, but... The fact that both translators came out with the exact same result, I do think I'd go with what the translator came out with.
またいずれ会うこともあるじゃろう。
Not mandatory, but still kind of wanted to get this because it is voiced dialogue. Let's see. I don't know if I... Yeah, no, okay. In the English version, I completely skipped this. Okay. The translation for this from the Deep L translator is Kakuju saying, I'm sure we'll meet again sometime. Google Translate is, maybe we'll meet again someday. I do think I'd go for something of a mix between the two. And go with, I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Again, since I didn't talk to her in the English version, I don't know what the English version had her say.
それではな。
Oh, hold on, there's a bit more here. Okay, it's just a see you then. Okay. Or till next time, or whatever. But since we've already talked to all the villagers that are worth talking to continue the plot, which was this guy here. This guy here. And the guy on the screen to the right who talked about the spiders, we can actually progress. Because now there's someone here who wasn't here before.
あ、見つけた。畑で僕を追いかけた人だ。
In the English version, Kururugi says, I found you. You were the one that came after me in the field. Where the translation... translation starts a little odd with, I found it. I'm pretty sure it should be, I found him or I found them. But then continues with, he's the one who chased me in the fields. All right. In the English version, he responds with, hey, aren't you the one from that time? Did you come to abduct someone again? But the translation is, oh, are you the one from back then? Have you come to kidnap someone again? Or at least that's what Google Translate comes out with. The Deep L translator says, whoa, you're the one who was come to kidnap someone again? I actually do think I would probably go with what's in the English version instead, but of course change abduct with kidnap. Just because both translators have kidnap as the result, so it makes sense. I definitely liked the sound of that. Because that definitely sounded a lot more like a raised voice than what the English version did. In the English version, he calls out, "Hey everyone, a demon." Which, unfortunately, both translators that I'm using did not turn out well. For whatever reason, it translated a word very literally, like, to the point of transliteration. Because I'm pretty sure him calling out Mina Oshu is supposed to be him calling out for everyone, because I do know that Mina is everyone. Or if you're referring to multiple people, it's are you all. Yeah, no, the English version did fine here.
妖怪め、うちの娘を早く返せ。
All right. Now then, according to the translation, that came out a little rough. All right, let's compare with the English version first. In the English version, he says, "Get away, demon! Give me back my daughter." The translated version starts with, "Damn, don't come." Which I would rather translate this as stay back or stay away. Or get back, one of those three. Otherwise, I think, yeah, okay, so I think I would actually completely replace this line to say, stay away, you demon. Return my daughter to me this instant. Or something like that. Like, contextually, same thing, but I do think my choice is worded a little bit better.
こいつ何わけのわからねえこと言ってんだ。
In the English version, InuYasha responds with, "What nonsense is he talking about?" According to Google Translate, InuYasha is saying, "What the hell is this guy saying?" Pretty much the same thing, just given InuYasha's character, the Google Translate result would fit him better. The Deep L translation came out with, it's weirdly worded, what is this guy? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So I think if I just wanted to go off of translating, I would probably reword what InuYasha says for the translation to be, what the hell is this guy talking about? But again, dubism stuff, like having to hold back, not for no, right. I don't think I'm even writing that right. Like, they can't just go full uncensored with the English dub, so of course they'd have to rein in a little bit, so I guess what the English version went with is fine. It's like having InuYasha say, "What nonsense is this guy talking about?" still fits his character.
犬夜叉ダメよ乱暴しちゃ。ちょっと待っておじさん。この子は妖怪じゃないから安心して。
Alright. Interesting translation there. So let's see what this comes out with. Okay. In the English version, Kagome steps in and says, "Don't be rude, InuYasha. Just a minute. You don't have to be afraid. This kid isn't a demon." Whereas the translation says, "InuYasha, don't be too violent. Wait a minute, old man. Don't worry, this kid isn't a monster." I do think I reword it to something like... Don't, I don't know if I'd stick with don't be rude or change it to don't be so aggressive. But go with the... but change to wait a moment, old man. And then you don't have to be afraid this kid isn't a demon. I think that's how I'd go with it.
なんじゃと？それじゃあ、その奇妙な服は何なんじゃ？
And then in the English version, the villager... Oh, hold on. The villager responds with, "What? Well, what's with the peculiar clothing?" But the translation says, "What? Well, then what's with the strange clothing?" Pretty much the same thing. Deep L translator came out with an interesting one of, "What do you mean? That's it. What are those strange clothes?" I think I'd go with something of a combination again with... actually, no, I don't think I can. Yeah, I do think I'd go with the Google Translate version. Even though all it really does is change peculiar to strange. But, I don't know, that just kind of sits a bit better with me. The translation's not... the translation's not that good on either end. I'm not gonna repeat the one from Deep Out because that one is worded pretty badly. Google Translate has this as, "There are some circumstances, so I'm wearing something different, just like you, a normal person." The English version, I do think, is what I'd stick with. Which is Kagome saying, "Oh, it's just an unusual circumstance, but we're normal people like you."
そうだよ。僕妖怪なんかじゃないよ。
Let's see. And then Kururugi follows up with, "Yeah, I'm not a monster." Well, the English version, Kururugi says, "It's true, I'm not a demon." I would go with the English version for this one. Because, like, starting with "it's true" to back up Kagome just seems a bit better, and then I'm Not a Monster / Demon is pretty much the same.
そう言われてみれば、妖怪にしちゃちょっとばかし弱そうじゃの。
And here we get the insult. And the translation's still not that good. According to Google Translate, this line says, "Now that you mention it, make it a monster. It seems a bit stupid and weak." Whereas the English version, he says, "Now that you say that, you do look pretty weak to be a demon." I think if I were to fix up the translation and use the English version as a basis, probably go with, "Now that you mention it, you seem a bit stupid and weak to be a demon." So I think the English version just wanted to tone down the insult a little. Though, considering there's a certain thing with Shippo a bit later, anyway, in this case, I would go with the English version.
やっとわかったのかよ。たく危ねえな。
All right. Then from InuYasha, Google Translate, InuYasha's response is, "So, you finally figured it out. That's pretty dangerous." Whereas the English version is simply, "You finally got it." I mean, the first sentence from the translation is pretty much the same, but the additional sentence is a little interesting. I don't think it should be, "That's pretty dangerous," though. I'm honestly not sure what it should say, though. Maybe something like, "That could have been dangerous"? I don't know. That second sentence is throwing me off.
わしらは普通の小僧を捕まえるところだったっちゅうんか。
But I don't think I'll be able to finish this conversation before going for before the top of the hour, so we're gonna go for a quick break. All right, and we're back. Now then, let's see what this villager says. Not a good translation, so let's see. Considering all the text that's currently in that dialogue box, the translation result is kind of small. Let's see, the English version says, "I can't believe we were about to capture a regular kid." Okay, so I guess this translation works then, like, based on that. The Google Translate result is, we were about to catch some ordinary kids. I do think, like, change the plural to singular for kid. But then start with, like, and then again, I don't remember if he made a sound or anything before we left for break. But, I don't know, like, maybe start with a grumble like, oh, we almost made a mistake. And then we were about to catch some ordinary kids, but otherwise, I would rather go with what the English version has then.
すまんことをした。みんな余裕がなくてさっきだっとったもんで。
Let's see. And then in the English version, follows with, so sorry, we were so panicked we couldn't think straight. The translation, though, says, I'm sorry, everyone was so nervous and had a murderous temper. I mean, the English version is definitely a bit more tame. But otherwise, I honestly could go with either or.
余裕がないって一体何があったんですか？
Let's see. And from Kagome, considering the previous bit of dialogue, the translation for this doesn't really match up, because the translation has Kagome saying, what exactly happened that you had no time for? But, of course, going off of the English version of them saying that they were so panicked, Kagome responding with, you were panicking? What happened? Lines up better.
妖怪が娘をさらいおったんじゃ。
And then here, the results from both translations are, a monster has kidnapped my daughter. The English version went with, a demon has stolen our daughter. I mean, go with the translation, just swap out monster for demon, and I do think that works better than stolen. Or I guess take the English version and swap stolen for kidnapped, and it works.
妖怪って雲の妖怪のことかよ。
Then from InuYasha, the translation says, by yokai. You mean the spider yokai? I don't know why Google Translate keeps going back and forth between yokai and monster for its translation. And then Deep L, for the most part, has been trying to translate yokai as specter. In the English version, InuYasha says demon, as in the giant spider demon. I mean, both pretty much work. Although the translated one comes off as a little bit more vague because it says you mean a spider yokai, whereas in the English one, InuYasha directly addresses the giant spider demon that we'd been hearing about when going around the village. So, if I wanted to go off a translation, probably just go with by yokai. You mean the giant spider yokai. Otherwise, not really any different.
そうじゃ。雲の妖怪が村までやってきてな。
Sorry, one
うち
moment.
の娘がさらわれてしまって。
Alright. Okay. Let's see what the English version says first. The English version response is... Yes, he came to our village and stole my daughter. Again, using yes in place of any other variant word that could be used for confirmation. Google Translate's result is, that's right, a spider monster came to the village and kidnapped my daughter. So... Probably go with a slightly tweaked version of the Google Translated result, which I'd put as, that's right, the spider yokai came to the village and kidnapped my daughter. And then... so we all started looking for it. In the English version, he says, and we all went looking for her. So, English version says that, kind of the same thing, kind of not. Depends how you want to look at it. English version, he says, and we all went looking for her, so they're prioritizing looking for the daughter. The translated version says we all started looking for it, implying the spider demon. So, slight difference of priority, even if contextually it could be read as the same. One, again, the English one, they're looking for the daughter. The translation, they're looking for the spider demon. I do think I would go with the Google Translate version under the idea that they're looking for the spider demon. If they find the spider demon, they might find their daughter. And then the spider demon might be a bit easier to track than the daughter. So that's kind of my line of thinking when I say that I'd probably go with the translated version instead.
そこに僕が現れたんだね。
And then Kururugi responds with, and then I appeared. Whereas in the English version, Kururugi says, that's when I appeared. Honestly, could go with either or. Probably would go with the English version instead.
So なんじゃ。あんたの奇妙な服を見ててっきり妖怪が化けたのかと。
Let's see. And then the villager follows up with, according to the translation, well then, when I saw your strange clothes, I thought for sure you were a monster. But the English version, he says, that's right. We saw your strange clothes and thought you were a demon in disguise. Which... yeah, I'd probably go with the English version for that.
すまん、この通りじゃ。
The translation for this comes out as, sorry, it's just like this, which, I don't know how I feel about the wording on that. The Deep L translator came out with, I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. Whereas the English version is, it's exactly as he says. I mean, I would probably go with the result from the Deep L translator. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Because, like, they're apologizing, but unfortunately, just given the way things are, that, like, how they acted is just how things are. So that does make sense. Like, these are weird, dangerous times in during this Sengoku Jidai, with freaking yokai running around able to transform and like take on the form of humans. So they see a human wearing bizarre clothing, it makes sense that they get confused and think they were a demon or yokai, whatever.
それはもう気にしてませんよ。その代わり教えてください。
And here, Kururugi responds with, don't worry about it, but can I ask you something? Whereas the translation says, I don't care about that anymore. Instead, please tell me. The first sentence, I'm honestly a bit iffy on. Like, the English version saying, don't worry about it, like, makes sense because, like, they've resolved the issue. They're not going after Kururugi anymore. The translate version, going with, I don't care about that anymore, could essentially mean the same thing. Like, they, thanks to Kagome's help, mediating and explaining that, like, the clothes are just circumstances and Kururugi's just some kid, not a demon. To try and calm the villagers down, so, like, Kururugi doesn't care about having been chased before now that they know the context. I do think I would rather stick with the don't worry about it, but for the other sentence, the English version has Kururugi ask, but can I ask you something? Whereas the translation says, instead, please tell me. I think instead, I would probably go with, rather, I was wondering if you could tell me something. Although I guess starting with rather would be a little too sophisticated for a middle school student. So I guess in that case I would go with the English version for Kururugi's response here.
あの時近くで井戸とか見ませんでした？
All right. So then in the English version, Kururugi asks, "Did you see a well near..." Oh, whoops. No, missed that one. Come on. Didn't time that right. English version says, "Did you see a well anywhere near there?" Whereas Google Translate says, "At that time, have you seen a well nearby?" The DeepL translate, yeah, the DeepL translator came out with a pretty similar result with, "At that time, did you see any wells nearby?" Could pretty much go with either or. I guess the context is a little different. With the English version, it's just, did you, like, at all, did you see a well in that area? Whereas if you go with the translated version, it specifically starts with "at that time." So that could imply, like, if you hadn't seen a well in the area before, did you see one when you were chasing after me? So I guess really depends what kind of context you'd want to go for there. It honestly doesn't matter to me in either of those cases.
井戸いやー見なかったぞ。
The translation here is a well. No, I didn't see one. Whereas the English version went with a well. No, I didn't, which is shorter, so I would probably just go with what the Google Translate came out with, which is no, I didn't see one.
井戸じゃなくてホラー穴とかでもいいんだけど、とにかく変なものなら何でも。
Then Kururugi follows up with, in the English version, maybe not a well, but something like it. At least something that looked strange. And the translation says, it doesn't have to be a well. A hole would be fine. Anyway, anything weird. Which, I actually do like how this translation is worded. Because the English version just says, like, maybe not a well, but just something weird, something strange. But the translation, also specifying a hole would be fine, is a good reference to the hole in the floor that Kururugi fell through. So, like, maybe not a well, maybe just a hole in the ground, or just something weird. So I do think I would go with the Google Translate version instead. Just to repeat, it doesn't have to be a well. A hole would be fine. Anyway, anything weird.
わしら散々あの辺を探し回ったが、そういうものは覚えておらんな。
And here. The translation is... Oh. That starts off a little weird. Okay, let's see. The English version says, I searched that area really well, and I didn't see anything like that. The translation, for whatever reason, starts with, my dear. I honestly want to say the translator meant to start with, oh dear? I honestly don't know. Actually, give me a sec. I think I can try something. Let's try this. Yeah, nope. Okay. Never mind. That still comes out weird. Alright. But that start aside, the translator will actually work. Uh-oh. Oh, is the translator broken? There we go. Instead, the rest of the translation is, I searched all over that area, and I don't remember anything like that. So, again, that weird start from the translation aside, it's not that different from the English version.
どうじゃみんな。
Come on. Okay. These translations are both a little weird. Google Translate says this is how's it going, guys? While the Deep L translator is what do you think, guys? The English version had him say, any of you see anything? The weird thing with the English version, though, is for whatever reason, they told the voice actor to raise his voice like they were calling out. But in the Japanese version, that wasn't the case. Like, they didn't raise their voice. Or at least it certainly didn't sound like it to me. So, I would probably go with what the English version has, just without him raising his voice like the English version went with, because that was just weird.
ああ、あの辺りには何もなかったぞ。
Let's see. And then here. The translation is, oh, there was nothing around there. But the English version went with, no, there wasn't anything around there. So I do think I'd go with the English version on that.
そう。
This should be a simple I see. Or is that so? Let's see. English version went with, we can load up. Yeah, no, the English version went with I see. So I would go with the English version on this one.
ち、せっかく見つけたっていうのに無駄足ってことかよ。
Of course, that was a click of the tongue from InuYasha, so the translation says, I went through all the effort of finding it, and it was all a waste of time. That is definitely a bit, worded a bit weird. The English version, he says, "Damn, we finally find the place, and there's nothing. What a waste of time." So, if I wanted to go with the translated results, just replace the I with we. And then, of course, just take in the context of finding it, which is the village. And if it's all a waste of time. Otherwise, I'd probably stick with the English version.
残念じゃが、楓の村に帰るとするか。
This is also weirded a bit weirdly from the translation, which has Shippo say, "It's a pity, but I think I'll go back to Kaede's village." But the English version went with, "It's too bad, but I guess we should head back to Kaede's village." So I think I would go with... again, if I wanted to go with the translation rather than what the English version has, I would probably word it as, "It's a pity, but I guess we should go back to Kaede's village." Just something of a mix of the translation and what the English version went with. There should be a simple wait. Yeah, okay. Google Translate has this as "hang on," while the English version had Kagome say "wait." Though in the English version, they also had Kagome raise her voice a bit. Whereas in the Japanese version, like, clearly she didn't raise her voice. Let's see.
なんだよ、カゴメ。
Okay. Let's see. And then this is another interesting one between the English and Japanese version, because in the English version, InuYasha asks what Kagome, but the way he asks it sounds like he's carrying a tone of concern. And while the facial expression is not different in the Japanese version from the English version for the portraits here, the way InuYasha spoke here sounded a bit more like a bit of annoyance, I think. Like, it's not... it definitely didn't sound like he was worried or concerned. But Google Translate's result for this from InuYasha is, "What is it, Kagome?" Whereas the Deep L translation is, "What the hell, Kagome?" As much as the Deep L translation result would absolutely be in character for InuYasha, the face he's making just does not work with that. So I would probably go with the Google Translate result of what is it, Kagome?
それで雲の妖怪は娘さんは見つかったんですか？
Let's see. Okay, both translation results are a bit iffy, and really only make sense if I essentially combine them. But the English version, Kagome says, "So, what about the demon spider? Did you find your daughter?" Google Translate says, "So, the spider yokai, has your daughter found it?" So the second half of that is weird. The Deep L translation came out with, so the demon of the inner sister, for whatever reason, did you find your daughter? I do think better worded would be, so about the spider yokai, have you found your daughter? Or were you able to find your daughter?
いや、まだなんじゃ。古寺まで退治に行った若者たちは、そのまま帰ってこんし。
All right. Let's see. Okay, Google Translate says this is no, not yet. The young men who went to the old temple to exterminate the yokai never came back. Whereas the English version is no, not yet. The young men that went to the old temple to find her never came back. So again, bit of a priority and context change. The English version is prioritizing finding the daughter. The Japanese version is prioritizing exterminating the demons, or the yokai. So really would depend what you want to prioritize, but if you want to go off of the translation, prioritize exterminating the demon.
わしが行かねばと思ったんじゃが。
The translation here is, I thought I had to go, but... the English version went with, I think I need to go and find her. Whereas the Deep L translator, translated this as, I thought I should be the one to go. Like, again, based on the priority context, if you wanted to stick with finding the daughter is the priority, then going with the English version of I think I need to go and find her is fine. But if you want to go with the priority of hunting down and exterminating the spider demon, I think a better wording of the translation would be, I was starting to think I should be the one to... no, hold on. I was beginning to think I should be the one to go. Yeah, like, that seems fine.
何言ってんだよ父ちゃん。
Now we get something a little interesting. Because in the English version, well, in either version, we now have the woman who's in the group speaking. In the English version, she says, "What are you saying, father?" According to the translation of the Japanese text, it's, "What are you talking about, dad?" Which, pretty much the same thing, but I don't think I really checked yet, but I think the woman is either supposed to actually be the mother of the daughter, so this guy's wife. So her referring to him as father, I think, is more meant to be like she's talking about his role in, like, as the family father, rather than him being her dad, because there's also the old man there who is likely the grandfather. Let's see. This one's... Yeah, okay. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, no, this is weird. In the English version, instead of all this text, they went with the woman just crying out, "No." But the translation for this bit of text is, "If not only my daughter Sachi, but also my father were to disappear." So here we have confirmation. So here, from the Japanese version, we have confirmation that this woman is the mother of the daughter that got kidnapped. And the man leading the group is the father of the daughter. So the woman saying, "If not only my daughter Sachi, but also my father were to disappear." If referring to the father of the daughter, like, that shouldn't be this woman's father, that should be her husband. So again, the use of father here should be in the context of his role. So I think just change it from, "If not only my daughter Sachi, but also her father were to disappear." Huh. No, I am actually a little surprised that the English version cut this out.
オラたちはどうすりゃいいんじゃ。
Because then the English version closes her dialogue off with, "What will we do without you?" Which, in either case, yeah, I probably would go with the English version result for that, because Google Translate puts this as, "What should we do?" And the DeepL translation went with, "What are we going to do?" So... Yeah, like, if not only my daughter Sachi, but also her father were to disappear, what would we do without you? I think is what that entire section should be saying. If going with the translation. Again, English version fucked up real bad by getting rid of if not only my daughter Sachi, but also her father were to disappear with a simple cry of no.
悔しいの。家をぶっ壊すような化け物じゃ。わしらの力ではどうにもならん。
Let's see. Then here. The translation here is, it's frustrating, a house-destroying monster. There's nothing we can do about it with our own strength. Whereas the English version went with... Damn it! We're no match for a demon that can destroy our homes. I mean, there is a part of the English version that I'd keep, which is starting with, damn it. But then base around what the English version has, using the translation to instead be, there's nothing we can do about a demon that can destroy our homes with our own strength. I think that would work out quite a bit better.
なんだよ。だったら俺たちがやっつけてきてやるぜ。
Alright. And then in the English version, InuYasha says, in that case, we'll go after him for you. Whereas the translations for this is, well, if that's the case, we'll go and get them. Which I actually do think I would go with the translated version instead.
なんと退治しに行ってもらえるのか。聞いたかみんな。
Alright, and here... The translation is, what? Can you help me get rid of them? Did you hear that, guys? Which, I don't know, that comes off a little weird. Oh, okay, come on now. While the English version had, what? You will destroy him for us? Did you hear that, everyone? So I do think I'd go with the English version of this one.
ありがたいことじゃ。
This, I think, should be a simple thank you. Okay, Google Translate says thank goodness. Deep L Translator says thank you. While the English version says, how can I thank you?
娘を幸をお助けください。
And the yeah, the translation for this is please help my daughter Sachi. While they, yeah, and this is from the woman, so okay. And the English version says please help our daughter Sachi. So you could go either or with this one. At least I feel.
犬よしゃ、突然人助けとは熱でもあるのか？
Oh, one moment. Sorry about that. Let's see. Grab that. And from Shippo, the translation is, InuYasha, why are you suddenly helping someone? Do you have a fever or something? Whereas compared to the English version of Shippo saying, InuYasha, this is so unlike you. Are you okay? I don't know. I actually kind of like the translated version better. Like, it's pretty much the same up until the last one of, instead of are you okay to do you have a fever or something? I don't know. I kind of like that. It definitely feels a bit more in line with Shippo when it comes to InuYasha. So, InuYasha, why are you suddenly helping someone? Do you have a fever or something? Because, of course, it's InuYasha. He would pretty much never help someone out of the kindness of his heart. Like, he's definitely the sort of, unless I get something out of it, I'm not helping someone. So, him suddenly saying that he'll go destroy a demon with no implication, suggestion, or mention of a reward of any kind is definitely a bit odd for him at this point in time in the story, because again, this should be like early season 3 content. So InuYasha by the end of season 2, yeah, he's not really big on helping someone just for the sake of helping them.
歩いてばっかりで体がなまってるからよ。少し暴れてんだよ。
In the English version, InuYasha responds with, I'm so bored from all this walking, I need a little excitement. Which, alright. The translation is, my body's out of shape because I've been walking a lot, I want to get a little active. Which, disregarding the fights we had going from Kaede's village to Akebi village, does make a bit more sense in the Japanese version because, again, there was no tutorial area in the Japanese version to do fighting and such in. So, story-wise, fighting the spider demon would be the first fight InuYasha actually has in the game. Whereas in the English version, again, quote-unquote, story-wise, it would have been either the demons you can fight in the first screen of the tutorial area, which gets dialogue with Myoga, or him referring to the demon that Kururugi actually blew up, because Kagome was getting pissy about that in the English version, but not here in the Japanese version.
ほう、なるほどな。
And Shiba's just like, oh, I see. Which is the exact same thing he says in the English version, so... eh...
でも
I don't think I really need to translate this, but I will anyway. English version is Kururugi going, but... because... from what they've heard of the demon, like, Kururugi is still afraid of the demon. It is a giant spider. Kururugi has arachnophobia. Kururugi wants nothing to do with the damn thing. So he's just like, please don't. I don't want to.
バケモンつったって古寺に住むようなしけた妖怪だろ。
The translation here is, even if you say it's a monster, it's just a boring monster that... sorry. Stumbled over my tongue there a little bit. Even if you say it's a monster, it's just a boring monster that lives in an old temple. The English version, though, he says it's probably just some stale old demon that lives in the old temple. So, let's see what the rest of this says.
大したことねえって。
Oh, come on now. Okay. Both translators translate this as, it's no big deal. While the English version went with, this'll be a piece of cake. So, honestly, I think I'd go for something of a mix. Go with the, it's probably just some stale old demon that lives in the old temple. It won't be a big deal. That's probably how I'd go with it.
And
then here, the English version, Kururugi says, but the villagers said he's been acting differently recently. Whereas the translation says, but recently the people in the... oh, okay, no. That's worded weirdly. The translation has this as, but recently the people in the village have changed. I would probably go with the English version instead, but if I wanted to go off the translation, I'd probably change it to, but the people in the village said he's changed recently. And we say, no, one moment. But the people in the village say the demon has changed recently. Or something like that.
うるせえな。おめえに妖怪の何がわかる。いいからとっとと行こうぜ。
And then InuYasha says, "Shut up. What do you know about yokai?" Anyway, let's get going. Whereas in the English version, pretty much the same thing. "Oh, shut up. What do you know about demons? Let's just go already." So, honestly, could go with either or.
ね、その古寺ってのは一体どこにあるんだ？
Let's see. In the English version, InuYasha then asks, "So, where's the old temple?" Whereas Google Translate says, "So, where exactly is this old temple?" And the Deep L translator has InuYasha say, "So, this old temple, where the hell is it?" Which does sound more like InuYasha, to be perfectly honest. So I think I would rather go with what the Deep L translator came out with.
村の外れにある岩場の先ですじゃ。
Let's see. Translation to this is, "Oh, it's beyond the rocks on the outskirts of the village." While the English version went with, "It's at the end of the village, past the rocky expanse."
くれぐれも娘をよろしくお願いします。
And then here says, "Please take good care of my daughter." While the English version says, "Please help my daughter." And the Deep L translator says, "Please be careful. Please take care of my daughter." I'm honestly not sure which one I'd personally want to go with, but I'm actually leaning towards the English version of "Please help my daughter" instead of "take care of." And with that, we're gonna go for another quick break. All right, and we're back. Now let's head to that temple. And hopefully, this won't take too long. Not a merchant, but he's basically saying, "Hey, there are some weird talking cats. If you speak to them, you can save." Let's see. This is... Okay, silver bell. And then this one is stimulant. What? I don't recognize that. Huh. Oh, great. This one. Okay. What do you do? recovers from confusion. I don't remember what... If, like, I'm pretty sure it's not called stimulant in the English version of the game. But then I have no idea what... I don't remember what it's actually called.
いいもの見つけた。
This one is... Morning dew from the sacred trees, so another revive. Let's see. So, this is an old temple. It has a perfect atmosphere for a giant spider's home, is what this translates. Or is what it's coming up as in the translation. Sorry, let me reword that. Google Translate is translating this dialogue as, so this is an old temple. It has the perfect atmosphere for a giant spider's home. Whereas in the English version... Kururugi says, so, this is the old temple. There's a spelling error in the English version. It looks perfect for a giant spider's dwelling. Yeah, like something of a mix between... You could pretty much... Or I'd be pretty comfortable with either or, just... for the translated version, instead of, so this is an old temple, change it to, so this is the old temple. And then that's pretty much solid. I am not going to go around collecting everything. Like I did in the English version. Listen though. This one should be... an earring. No, that's an antidote. Why did I think that was the earring? This should be the earring. If I'm wrong again on this one, I'm gonna slap myself. Okay. Medicinal herbs. Alright. All right. And since Kururugi had their Shikigami awakened by Kakuju, his attack animation is different. So I'm pretty sure the English version for that attack call was Shikigami attack. But it did sound like there was a bit more to it in the Japanese version. I'm gonna have to try and listen back to that at some point. Ooh, nice crit, Kagome! Oh, hello. Right, because we haven't had her get the finishing hit of a fight yet. Let's see. This one translates as, I won't lose to the bad guys. The English version of this was, we won't lose to the bad guys. So, hey, there's that. She's level 4. And learned the Wind Scar. So even in the Japanese version, he gets it pretty early. Or he gets it before the first boss, so that's good to know. Yeah, InuYasha has learned the Wind Scar. Alright. Oh, and they got something else. Alright. What's this? What's this? Eye drops. Okay, cures darkness. Or blind, whatever. Okay. Okay, so it wasn't earrings, it was a hair accessory. But still, this was what I was looking for, the crystal hair accessory. Because there are gender-specific equipments. The hair accessories can only be equipped to women, and increases defense and spirit. The only two characters who focus on those stats are Kagome and Kaname. But since we're not playing as Kaname, Kagome's the only one who gets them. Well, she's going to be the only one I give them to. Anyway, we've got the energy for it, and we just learned it, so let's test out that Wind Scar in the Japanese version, shall we? Okay, Tanamu Shikigami. In the English version, I think they translated that as "Help me out, Shikigami." If the other one he said from the previous fight was supposed to be Shikigami attack, then that would make sense. I guess those are like the only two he's got. Well, that's classic. Alright, Shippo. You can hit this one. Hopefully Kururugi will be fast enough. Huh. Alright. Wind Scar. Alright. Uh-oh.
大丈夫。
よーし。頼む、式神。やったぞ。
よし。
Alright, Kagome may as well heal up Shippo.
大丈夫。この絆創膏で大丈夫よ。すまんの。ん？おりゃ
しゃあ、よっしゃてやれ、もらった。俺たちとやり合うなんて10年早えぜ。
Okay, this one's mentioning 10 years. Okay! Okay. I think the English version of this quote is... even in 10 years, you wouldn't be able to beat us. Google Translate has it as, you can fight us for 10 years. I don't know if that's worded wrong, or he's supposed to imply, you could fight us for 10 years and nothing would change. The default translation has this as, you're not gonna fuck with us for 10 years. Oh boy. That's another set of eye drops if those characters... If I'm reading those characters right from the last time. Let's see. I'm just going here for the key. Let's see. Yeah, key to the old temple. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay, they got the drop on us. This won't be good. Kagome's absolutely gonna have to be on healing duty. Uh-oh. Not good. Oh boy. Oh, this is not gonna be good. Well, that was a miss. I may as well blast it. Guarantee it gets off the board. Good. Kagome was able to get a turn before the demon, so I can at least heal up Kururugi. Alright, so that should have been Shippo's Wheel of Fire. I got 2 different translation results, and none of them really sounded like that's what they should be. Google Translate had it come up as Daikoten. And the Deep L translator said that it's Great Flower Wheel, so only way to find out would be to check for his special technique. Excuse me, special techniques list. Yeah, no, you're gonna heal him up a bit more. Yep, there we go. Wheel of Fire. Good, first AoE attack. I think the English version of this one is supposed to be... That's the way it's done. Yeah, because the translator is saying that this is, well, it's something like this. This is another antidote. Okay, that's Kagome. It looks like they haven't caught on to us yet. So we got the surprise attack, and Shippo can just, well, hopefully wipe them all out in one. Close. Let's make sure InuYasha's healed up. I don't know if I translated this one yet, but I guess we'll do so now. I'm not gonna bother with that translation! Let's see. Google Translate. According to Google Translate, this says that these guys, even when grouped together, are no match for us. I believe... I can't remember what the exact English version one was, but I think it... Excuse me. I think the English version was... Even together, they didn't stand a chance against us. Excuse me. And then this... is wound medicine. Okay. So just some medicine. Lock the door. There's the hecking cat. May as well try and get a little bit more experience for this fight. Or for the upcoming fight. As long as Shippo's got energy, Wheel of Fire. because he's our go-to AoE guy for a while.
尻尾をやるじゃん。
よし。往生しやがれ。三魂鉄装。もら
Ooh,
った。
not a bad crit. Unnecessary, but not bad.
口ほどにもねえ奴らだな。
I'm not gonna bother translating that. Now, some people may have noticed. 5 levels in! InuYasha and Shippo have both already learned 2 techniques, and Kagome has 1, but Kururugi has not learned any yet. There is a reason for that, and it's because his first one is story-locked. And he doesn't start gaining more until after. So until then, Kururugi is just kinda stuck using regular
やっ
attacks.
てきやがれ。
Just kinda sucking for a while.
よし。
Alright. Shippo's out of energy,
往
so
生しやがれ。
can't wipe them all out.
鉄装。もらった。
ほらか。行くぞ。爆雷術。
はい。式神よ、行け。やったぞ。どうってことない。
しゃらくせ。
よし。お願い、当たって。それ、やったー。行くぞ。爆雷術。オラのおかげじゃな。
I am a little... Well, first of all, new tech for Kagome. I do find it a little odd that the only fights I've had in this version were from the purple clouds, because this game's supposed to have actual random fights with the purple clouds just being stronger enemies. Anyway, Kagome learned to cheer, so attack boost if needed will come in handy against the boss. So I don't think I've run into a fight that wasn't in a purple cloud yet. Sorry about that, my roommate just barged in to pass me their dog. Even though they know better and should have texted first so that they don't get caught on mic. Anyway, I'm just trying to test something right now. See if I can even get into a fight without the purple clouds, but it's actually looking like the purple clouds are just the fights for the Japanese version. What? Yeah, because I definitely should have gotten into a fight by now. Huh. That's interesting. Like, sure, running through the purple clouds won't initiate a fight.
いいもの見つけた。
But it does look like the only way to get into a fight is running through the...
いいもの見つけた。
Huh. One second. Puppy upsetty. Let's see, Silver Bell. Yeah, no, I absolutely should have gotten into a fight by now. Oh, hey, there we go. Okay, good to know it's not just the purple cloud that initiate fights in the Japanese version.
返り討ちにしてやる。
気分
Uh-oh.
悪い。
よーし。式神よ、行け。やったぞ。
よし。よっしゃってやれ。もらった。
どっこい。ほらか。
Yeah, because you come up first.
爆雷ずつ。よし。お願い当たって。それやった。
よし。貴様らってやれ。もらった。 口ほどにもねえ奴らだな。
酔ったな。
よし。 くらえ。三言鉄槍。もらった。
はい。
Right, I forgot Kagome's sheer technique costs energy. Good crit, Shippo.
よーし。 頼む、式神。やったぞ。
Of course, that's the healer. Okay.
往生しやがれ。三言鉄槍。くそ。
Uh-oh. Okay, sure, I'll waste it here. And get rid of the bird at least. Oh, and it actually got the other one too. All right then.
どうじゃオラたちの力思い知ったか
I think this one was... How's that? Now do you understand our power? At least in the English version. Yeah. Pretty much. And I'm pretty sure I got this one before. Sure, let's just clear this hallway. Of course, Shippo starts this fight after I used his energy to... he did that. Well, he should be strong enough to take this out in one shot. Yeah, there we go. And then... InuYasha will be fine.
任せてそれやった
かごめさんすごいな。よーし。式神よ、行け。やったぞ。
Okay. Should be another one, I think. Yeah, here we go. Let's see how you do. Ooh, good crit! And then Shibbo can take care of the rest. Let's see. This seems like a new one for Shippo. Looks like this one is... What a piece of cake. They're all talk. At least I'm pretty sure that's what he says in the English version, and this is just a... Okay, the translation says that was an easy win. They were nothing compared to us. I'm pretty sure the English version had him say, that was easy. They were all talk or something like that. But I think with that, we're going to take another quick break. Alright, and we're back. Time to head into the first boss fight. Yep. Here we go.
この先から妙な匂いがするぜ。
Let's see. Here, the translation says, there's a strange smell coming from up ahead. Let's see. Just need to get the English version up so I can see. Oh. There we go. In the English version, InuYasha says, there's a strange smell. Which, sure. But I think the translation, including coming from up ahead, is a bit better. Let's see. Then Kururugi's translation is... Okay. Well, that's definitely different from what the English version has. The English version, Kururugi responds with, huh? Really? Whereas the translation seems to suggest that Kururugi is actually saying, well, maybe that's, with a pause, likely meant to be that Kururugi is implying that might be the spider demon you're smelling.
間違いねえ。こりゃ血の匂いだ。人間の血の匂いがプンプンしやがるぜ。
That, or InuYasha interrupted Kururugi. You could go with either or. And then InuYasha's line, translated, is, there's no doubt about it. This is the smell of blood. It reeks of human blood. And the English version went with, that's the smell of blood. No doubt about it. There's a strong smell of human blood. I do think I'd go with the English version here.
InuYasha. この雲の糸といい、血の匂いといい、なんか嫌な感じがするわ。
And from here, Kagome says, be careful, InuYasha. These spider webs and the smell of blood give me a bad feeling. Where in the English version, she says, be careful, InuYasha. The smell of blood and the thought of the spider's web are giving me a bad feeling. So, pretty much the same thing. Either one is fine.
そうだね。村の人も雲の糸がどうとか言ってたし。
See, and Kururugi says, yeah, the villagers were saying something about spider webs. While the English version, Kururugi says, yes, the villagers mentioned the spider's web. So, again, you could go with either or.
わかってば。
Let's see here. The translation says, I understand. The English version went with, I know. Yeah, I guess you could go with either or.
けどここまで来て引き返すわけにはいかねえだろうが。
Let's see. And then he follows with, but having come this far, there's no turning back. While the English version says, but we can't come this far and turn around. Again, you could go with either or.
そうだけど。
The translation here, Kururugi is saying that's true, but while the English version has Kururugi say, I know, but... So, once again, I'm fine with either or. Don't need to translate that, he's just clicking his tongue in annoyance.
わかったよ。だったらおめえらはここに残れよ。
The translation here is... that actually comes out a little weird. The translation comes out as, I understand. If so, you guys stay here. The deval translation is not any better. The English version has him say, fine, you guys stay here. So I would probably go with the English version here.
InuYasha, 急に何を言い出すんじゃ。
And then the English version, Shippo responds with, what are you saying, InuYasha? While the translation says, InuYasha, what are you suddenly saying? I honestly don't know what I'd go with for a translation of this, honestly. I mean, they both... Ultimately, they're both pretty much saying the same thing. I just don't know if I'd really change anything to make it sound better. Finally finished my birthday thing. may need to watch the VOD. I missed a lot. Apologies. It's fine. Like I said, like, the thing you're doing is definitely more important to you than being here, so that's perfectly fine.
そうよ、いくら犬夜叉だって一人じゃ。
Let's see. So then here, Kagome says, "That's right. Even InuYasha can't do it alone." The English version, I do think, is better here, because Kagome is saying no matter how strong you are, you'll still be in danger if you go alone. Rather than just saying even InuYasha can't do it alone. Like, he's taken on demons by himself before, so... But, of course, there is always a danger when fighting alone, because if you get caught in a trap or cornered or whatever, then you're pretty much toast. If you have backup, at least you'll have someone who can get your ass out of there.
うるせえな。妖怪と戦うんなら一人の方がやりやすいんだよ。
Let's see. The translation for this is, "Shut up, it's easier to fight monsters alone." While the English version said, "Oh, be quiet. It's better to fight a ghost by yourself anyway." And that was a weird moment where the English version started using ghost and demon interchangeably for some reason. And I don't know why. But, I mean, I probably would go with the English version in this case, because really, you could go with either or. They pretty much mean the same thing, and it would be InuYasha talking about himself personally, because it would be easier for him to fight the spider demon by himself, because then he doesn't have to be worried over the others. But we all know how that goes.
ささっと倒して戻ってくるから、おめえらはここにいろ。
Let's see. And here is... I'll defeat them quickly and come back, so you guys stay here. Compared to the English version, which is, I'll defeat him quickly, then I'll be back. You guys stay here. Same thing. Could go with either. And then off he goes.
犬夜叉のやつ、一人で勝手に決めよって。
Translating from Shippo is, InuYasha, you made that decision all by yourself. While the English version, he says, always making decisions on your own. I mean, they pretty much mean the same thing, so I could probably go with either or.
あんな言い方をしたけど、本当は私たちを危ない目に遭わせたくないのよ。
Kagome's translation is, even though he said that, I really don't want to put us in danger. Interesting result, since the English version has her say that's what he said, but really he's trying to keep us from danger. Yeah, I think the translation just worded things weirdly. I think the translation was trying to go for, even though he said that, he really doesn't want to put us in danger. So again, really could go with either or.
そうなのか？オラにはそうは聞こえんかったが。
Let's see. Translation for this is that so? That's not what it sounded like to me. While the English version, Shibbo says, really? I didn't hear him say that. Now this is interesting because I know in the English version, Kagome's next line is because he's too proud to say that it's because he doesn't want them in danger. But if we go with the translation of that's not what it sounded like, I'm curious what Kagome actually says next.
犬夜叉ってば素直じゃないから。
Let's see. Okay, so the translation has this as InuYasha, you're not very honest. So I don't think she's directing this at Shippo. She's speaking her thoughts aloud, directed at InuYasha, even though he's not present. That, or it's meant to be... yeah, that, or it's meant to be... InuYasha isn't a very honest person. I don't know. I kind of like the idea that she's speaking her thoughts out loud, directed at InuYasha, even though he's not there. But the English version definitely changed the context a bit. Don't really need to change that.
あれ?
And then here, a bit of surprise from Kagome, because we hear her, she senses the Shikon jewel. In the English version, she responds with, "What's that?" While the translation seems to go with, what?
Kagome.
Then from here, okay. In the English version, Shippo asks, "What happened, Kagome?" According to the Deep L translation, Shippo is asking, "What's the matter, Kagome?" And according to Google Translate, Shippo is asking, "What's wrong, Kagome?" So you could pretty much go with either one of those, because they're pretty much interchangeable. Doesn't really matter.
Kore, masaka.
Come on, stop trying to highlight so many files. Huh. So the English version of this is Kagome saying, this, it can't be. And the Google Translate version is, this can't be. So pretty much you could go with either or.
至根のかけらの気配。
Then there's a hint of the fragment of the four souls. In the English version, she says, I sense shards of the Shikon jewel. So, of course, I would rather go with the English version for this one.
なんじゃと？
In the English version, Shippo responds with, what? Two interesting translations, both of which are incredibly similar, both still work. Google Translate has Shippo go, what the heck? DeepL Translator has Shippo go, what the hell? I don't know, I actually think I'd just stick with the shocked, what?
間違いない。近くに至根のかけらがあるわ。
See. Okay, interesting. In the English version, Kagome says, there's definitely shards of the Shikon jewel nearby. According to Google Translate, she says, there's no doubt about it, there's a jewel of the four souls nearby. While the DeepL translator says, no doubt, there's a piece of the four souls nearby. So the English version does feel a little weird with Kagome saying that there are shards, plural, nearby. When we know for a fact, much later on, that we only have one from this fight. So really just change it to yeah, like probably just change it to, there's no doubt about it, there's a shard of the Shikon jewel nearby.
Shikon no kakera tte?
And Kururugi, of course, this is their first time hearing about this, so they're going, what do you mean? Like, in the English version, asking shards of the Shikon jewel. According to the translator, Kururugi saying, what do you mean, fragments of the four souls? And according to the DeepL translator, asking, what is a piece of the four souls? Let's see. According to the translator, Kagome's response is, it's something we've been looking for all this time. While the English version says it's what we've been looking for this whole time. So, interchangeable. Let's see. What do you... What?
元は一つの玉だったんだけど、たくさんに割れて方々に散らばってしまって。
And translating this comes out as... It was originally one ball, but it broke into many pieces and scattered all over the place. English version, she says, originally it was one sphere, but it was broken into little shards and spread everywhere. Yeah, I would go with the English version for the most part. At least up until it was broken into little shards, and then change it from and spread everywhere to and scattered all over the place. Because that is closer to what actually happened, just like they scattered instead of spread.
妖怪がそれを使うと恐ろしく強くなれるのじゃ。
Shippo explaining when a yokai uses it, it becomes incredibly strong. While in the English version says, if the demons use the shards, they become more powerful. Same thing, pretty much.
そんなものがあるんだ。
Let's see, in here... Okay, in the English version, Kururugi says, I didn't know there was anything like that. Says, I didn't know there was anything like it. The translator is, there's such a thing. While the Deep L translator says, I didn't know there was such a thing. So, I'd probably go with the English version.
もしこの先の妖怪がそれを持っとるなら。
Let's see, if the yokai up ahead has it, according to the translation, while the English version said, if the demon spider has them, then... did she ever tell Michiru she broke it? I can't remember. No. She never... in the English version, she never said she was the one who broke it, and considering this is the only time it's ever actually brought up, unless there's a point in one of the day off events where she mentions it in the Japanese version that and not in the English version, I don't think she ever brings it up. They really, like, when recapping stuff like the Shikon Jewel and Naraku, they just give very quick and basic information. Because they're like, this is really all you need to get caught up on what you need to know about this subject. Let's see. But, yeah, with this from Shippo, going with either the English versions, if the demon spider has them, then, or the translation of if the yokai up ahead has it, then, like, you could go with either, honestly. Again, though I do much prefer any instance of referring to a singular shard of the Shikon Jewel, since, again, that is what we're dealing with, not multiple.
犬夜叉が危ないわ。スポちゃん、行きましょう。
See. And from here, Kagome continues on from where Shippo trailed off. InuYasha is in danger. Shippo, let's go. And in the English version, says the exact same thing, so that's perfectly fine. And then don't really need to translate that. That's Shippo just agreeing.
僕はどうしたら。
Also, interesting that Kururugi refers to himself with Boku instead of like Ore. Or even Watashi. No, hold on. Alright. In the English version, Kururugi then asks, what should I do? The Google Translate result is the exact same, while the Deep L translation is, well, what should I do?
あなたはここに残ってて。
And here, Kagome says, simply put, you stay here. While the English version, she says, wait here. Uh,
うん、わかった。
And you can hear the dejection in his voice. He's like, oh, guess I'd just get in the way then. Like Kururugi is kind of in pain when he is told, like, you can't do shit. In the English version, Kururugi's response is... come on, what was it? Yeah, there we go. So in the English version, Kururugi's response is, what? Okay. While the Google Translate has this as, yeah, I get it. So it makes the English version seem like Kururugi is surprised he's being told to wait, while the Japanese version makes it seem like they kind of figured they'd be told to sit put. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned this when I went through the English version, but I'm pretty sure the idea behind all this is Kururugi only just awakened to their abilities. No one really knows what they're capable of, so they figure the best thing to do is to just have Kururugi sit put and wait for them to get back, just in case something goes wrong. And more of Kururugi's inner thoughts. Been a while. However, this game is not good at judging the passage of time. So the fact this comes up as soon as Kagome and Shippo are off screen was Kururugi wondering, I wonder if everyone is okay, even though they just saw Kagome and Shippo run off. Like, no, there's very much an implication that Kururugi's been waiting here for quite some time. The game devs just didn't know how to properly make it seem like time passed. In the English version, Kururugi says, I wonder if everyone is okay. So basically the same thing, but the English version adds an actual question mark instead of ending on an ellipses. And of course, the English version doesn't differentiate between whether it's spoken or thought dialogue, because there's no brackets or anything that would differentiate it like there is in the Japanese version. And that's just another thing that pisses me off about the English version.
InuYashaたちが心配してくれるのは嬉しいけど、足手まといなままなのは嫌だな。
Let's see. I'm glad that InuYasha and the others are worried about me. I don't want to be a burden. While the English version is, I'm really glad they're so concerned about me, but I really don't want to be in their way.
僕、どうやったらみんなの役に立てるんだろう。
And then ends off with, how can I be of help to everyone? While the English version ends with, let's see. Jeez, I really took a while with that one. I mean, I was discussing stuff with chat at the time back then. Feel free to go watch the VODs of me doing the English version if you want to see what was going on. Come on. Oh. I think I went a little too far. Nope. Come on. No. Hold on. There we go. Come on. Okay. English version, Kururugi finishes their thoughts with, how can I help everyone? Translation is, how can I be of help to everyone? So, largely the same thing across the board. Oh, I'm curious what Kagome's scream is going to sound like in Japanese, because I had a lot of fun with it in the English version because it sounded real good. Let's see, InuYasha in the English version yells out, "What is this?" According to the translator, it is saying, "Whoa, what is this?" And I'm not even going to bother with the Deep L translator because that is very much off. Here we go. I'm sorry, what? I mean, I know I don't need to translate that, but that sounded very different from the scream from the English version. All right then.
何？
Let's see. In the English version, Kururugi calls out with what happened, and according to the translator, it says, what? Honestly, I think I could go with either or. But now...
みんな！
Now we're gonna start getting to some good stuff. Let's see. In the English version, Kururugi, upon entering the room, immediately goes, "Is everyone okay?" While according to the translation, calls out, "Hey, guys!" I do like the effect they have on this guy's voice in the Japanese version. It is not here in the English version. But let's see. According to the translation, the spider is saying, oh, come on. That doesn't even come off right. Okay. In the English version, the spider says, well, there's still more of you. The translated version has this as, "What is it, you? I see, you still have friends." I'm not a fan of that translation result, honestly. I think I would change it to, "What do we have here? I see, you still have friends." And then continues with, "If you can avoid being caught, you should just run away. Do you really want me to suck your blood that badly?" While the English version, he says, "Since you've escaped being captured, you should run away. Do you really want me to suck your blood?" I'd say you could go either way, but I do kind of prefer the English version here. In the English version, I know Kururugi says "shut up," and it looks like that's the case for the Japanese translation. For some reason, Google Translate translates this as "noisy." But no, it's definitely a shut up. Like a defiant shut up. And then the spider demon laughs and says, in the English version says, "How stupid." The Japanese translated, he says, "That's stupid." I would go with the English version for that one, like "how stupid" or "how foolish." That's a cry of pain. I really don't think I need to translate that. Let's see. Here. The translation is, "That guy is using the power of the fragments of the four souls. You can't do it. Just get out of here. While the English version, he says, he's using power from the shards of the Shikon Jewel. You can't win. You have to run away. Again, going to prefer the English version here. Just change shards to shard singular. And then the spider just laughs again.
このまま逃げたらみんなが殺される。なんとかしなきゃ。
Let's see. Kururugi's thoughts. If we run away like this, everyone will be killed. We have to do something. Pretty sure the we's are supposed to be I. The English version, Kururugi, it says, if I run away, he'll kill them all. I have to do something. So pretty much the same thing. And then ends off with, but what should I do? While the English version ends on pretty much the same thing. All right.
あれは隠しばあちゃんの言ってたジャモンガン。
The translation of this says, oh, that's the serpentine that Grandma Kakuju was talking about. English version's not that different. English version has, look, there's a serpentine rock like Grandma Kakuju was talking about. Still, the fact that Kururugi can notice that the statue is made at least partially of serpentine rock from the complete other side of the room is impressive. That is some goddamn eyesight. Let's see. The demon translated is, what's the matter? Have you given up, kid? Alright, okay, I'll eat from you. That's a bit iffy. The English version, the spider says, give up, little man? Well then, I'm gonna eat you first. Here, translation is, you idiot, why are you even standing there? Run! Run! While the English version, InuYasha, says, you idiot, why are you standing there? Run! Run away! Same thing, pretty much. While Kagome calls out, please run. While in the English version, she calls out, you have to run away. And then there's Shippo. Shippo calling out run away quickly, while in the English version he says quickly run away. Then we get something a little interesting. So, even though there was no text there, I was able to translate what Kururugi said. And from what I was able to pull, Kururugi called out Moe Sakuru Homura, or Moe Sakuru Homurai. Honestly, it was a little hard for me to tell that last bit, which I got a few translation results from. Moe Sakuru resulted in burn brightly, and Homura is flame. So together would either be burn brightly flame or flame burn brightly. Although more recent translations of Moe Sakuru Homura results in blazing flame. The English version was O flame burning bright. While very much different, the meaning is the same. Kururugi is calling upon a brightly burning flame to help. This is the only one for his technique incantations that I was able to catch anything of, because the game audio, even in the Japanese version, is pretty fucked. So, trying to hear any of the other incantations in battle is such a huge pain in the ass. Oh, shit. Whoo. Got that just in time. So the demon's moment of surprise was, what? While in the English version is pretty much the same. Kagome's I'm pretty sure Kagome's response is just a surprised gasp at being freed. And here, Shippo, according to the translator, says, "The thread! Thank goodness." Whereas in the English version, Shippo said, "I'm free from the web." Which, alright, there's definitely a difference there. But honestly, I could go for either or. And then from InuYasha, who's up next.
ありがてえ。これで戦えるぜ。
According to the translation, is thanks, now I can fight. While the English version, he says, great, now we can get him. And then the spider demon, according to the translator, says, damn it, I'm gonna suck all your blood. While the English version, he says, "Damn you all, I'm going to drink everyone's blood." Sadly, I don't really have the time to do the fight against him and keep going. So, I'm going to have to call it here and save the fight for next time. Bit of an interesting cliffhanger, though, I'd say. Start off next stream with the first boss fight. So, until then, this has been the Azure Guardian. See ya.